I kind of wanted to give people like the language and at least some of the knowledge to like know how to find their personal scent, because scent is so personal for me. And much like the way that I've been able to do with beauty and makeup, we're doing the exact same way with FORVR Mood and fragrance, and giving the power back to the consumer so that they kind of know how to build their own fragrance wardrobe.
Explore the minds and marketing strategies behind today's winning brands and businesses. Tap into the power of the creator economy with Earned by Creator IQ. Here's Conor Begley.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Earned. Today I've got Dennis and Jackie on the show. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
You're the second power couple we've had on. So we had the co-founders of Beekman 1802 on before, who also have like a crazy life together. Pumped to have you guys on together.
Thanks for having us.
We're excited to be on.
I know your journey, but not everybody will. So I'd love for you guys, just give us a background. One, a little bit about who you are. Obviously, we know who you are for the most part, but a little bit of that. And then two, like, I don't know, my wife would never start a business with me, but what made you guys decide to start a business together?
I always tell people when they ask, should I start a business with my boyfriend, partner, spouse? And I'm like, I'm going to be very honest with you. What me and Dennis have are damn near like a miracle. If you're expecting that, I'm going to say no, because this is a once in a lifetime. It truly just works. And to your point, sometimes I think it is better to like actually, maybe not. But it's been wonderful because me and Dennis, again, I do consider us like the exception to the norm, because we're incredibly great at like doing what we do separately. So my background is being a content creator. That's how I got started. I got started on YouTube, and I was in the beauty and makeup space. So that's all everybody knew me for. And then COVID happened and the beauty space shifted dramatically. Like everybody wasn't really wearing makeup like that. You know, we were all stuck at home. And so one of the things that I have always got my confidence from, I've always loved since childhood, was fragrance. But a lot of people didn't really know that, because the fragrance community on the digital space didn't really exist. Because it's like, why would we talk about fragrance on the computer? Like, it's weird. Like, how can I really service someone who's watching that? Like, how do I describe that? So that community was really small, really niche. And then COVID happened and everybody was like, this is the one thing that makes me feel normal. And I kind of feel like that's what made the fragrance space really take off in a more meaningful way. What a lot of people didn't know is that Dennis and I were talking about starting a fragrance brand as far back as like 2017, because it was always something that I was passionate about, but it wasn't just the main part of my content. So then, boom, we get stuck at home. We're like, well, should we just pick up where we left off? Because we had already started talking. We quite literally were like talking to vendors. We started the conversation in 2018. We started meeting with manufacturers in 2018, and then we shelved it. And then, yeah, we just picked it back up in like 2019, 2020, and started off thinking more like passion project, thinking more like this is going to be just something that we want to do. And the way that it started was we blew through like what we thought was going to be 6 months worth of inventory in 2 hours. So we were kind of shook. And it's a good problem to have, but like a logistical problem nonetheless if you're a small startup, because we didn't know. So it kind of like we had to completely restructure how we prioritize the business. And it's been awesome. We just immediately hit the ground running, and we've kind of been like thriving ever since. So that's kind of like the short-term version of it. Maybe you want to take off from there?
No, that was great. I just add my part. So as you can tell from my voice, I'm not from the US, I'm from London. I actually started my career in investment banking and started a number of businesses that was some successful, some that failed, learned so much. And then fast forward, me and Jackie, we met, just to give you some backstory. I have some family in LA, we connected, we were friends for a very long time. And then, we started to build a really strong bond. And then someone had to make that jump. And obviously Jackie was never going to move to London because of the weather. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to come over to LA and stuff. So no, it's been an amazing journey that we've been in, and she's been great. I've literally been a student, just learning the creator influencer space and learning how things are done. And in 2020, during the pandemic, if you remember, it was just a lot of unknown brands were putting a pause on a lot of brand deals. And it was at that point I had a conversation with Jackie, and I was like, you know what? This is the time that we be in control of our own destiny. Let's launch the fragrance brand that we had. And literally in a space of 3 to 4 months, we came up with a brand development and launch. It was crazy, but we did it. And it couldn't have been a better time. To Jackie's point, everyone was at home, and our candles was a way of evoking positive moods, and you know what I mean, brightening up people's spirit, because everyone was like bored and people wanted to smell good at home, especially when you couldn't really leave the house. So it's been a fun journey, and yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
You know what's funny is I was actually on the board of Nest, the candle company, in 2020. It was right when I joined. We had like a scary moment, but then after that, it just exploded because everybody's in their houses. Everybody wants to make their house smell good. But you guys have expanded outside of just candles now. You're doing some kind of personal fragrance, and which it seems like you're hitting the trend again because personal fragrance is growing like crazy right now.
Yeah, actually, the hero product that we always wanted to be our hero product was fine fragrance. So when we started with home fragrance, it's not just one category of scent. It's like your entire fragrance world, right? But like in our head, we were like, okay, well, let's start with candles and let's just see if people like what we like. And so that's kind of how we structured it.
You know, you mentioned that you and Dennis kind of have a unique setup in terms of being like working together so well. Why do you guys think you work together so well and stuff like this? What is it about your relationship that makes it fit for it?
I can share my perspective. I think we respect each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we complement each other really well. For me, look, Jackie's a creative genius. Like, she's the best at coming up with ideas, concepts, product. She knows I leave her to do that. Obviously, I have my opinions and thoughts, but whenever she's called, even when there's times where I'm like, "Oh, are you sure, babes?" She's like, "Trust me." She's always been right. So I've just learned to be like, "No, she knows what she's talking about. Let her do her thing." And for me, she's allowed me to just, you know, what I mean, run the business, the day-to-day, the operations, the logistics, and she trusts me to be able to deliver. And like, we know we also have boundaries. I think that's also another point. Like, I'll be honest with you, one of my bad habits at first was always talking about business. Like, we wake up first thing in the morning, or when we're having dinner. Now we've set boundaries, so which is really important. And you have to remember, we were lovers first before founders, so it's important to prioritize that. So as much as in fact we want to have a successful business, it's very important to remember that. So we still have our date nights, we still appreciate our very intimate moments, and versus trying to bring up work. And I have to give her credit that she's taught me to be a better person in that scenario.
Yeah, I have the same debates with my wife, and she's not even part of the business. She's like, "Just please shut up. Like, I'm so tired of talking about this. Like, I want to talk about something else."
It's actually not even so much about like not wanting to talk about work, but because we're self-employed, right? So
Yeah.
the lines get blurred very easily of like when's work time and when it's not. If I'm eating breakfast, like this can wait 10 minutes, you know what I mean? But sometimes when you're creative, because Dennis is a really creative person. So when you get an idea, you're just like, babe, look at this, or babe, can I get an approval on this? Or what do you think about this? And it's like, I'm just trying to enjoy the bacon real quick. It can wait 10 minutes. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it kind of is because then everything becomes work. And then one day you turn around and you're like, wait, I have like no balance. I have like no free time. And I don't want to be run ragged into the ground. And I also don't want Dennis to be run ragged into the ground too. So it's been like really important for me to not only teach him how to like figure out what that balance looks like, but also myself, because I've had to learn for myself too.
So one of the things I'm curious about is like, you know, I've done a little bit of content creation on LinkedIn and it's gone really well, which is good. But like, you're at a whole different level, obviously. And I think both of you, frankly, thinking about the amount of time it takes to kind of do that, like that's a full-time job in and of itself, let alone to kind of run the brand at the same time. You know, I've seen some of your content where you're integrating the brand in kind of naturally, but I'm curious, how do you guys both balance and think about the time that you're spending on content creation as an individual, as well as, you know, time that you're spending on the brand? And how have you seen those things work together, right? Because I think for whether you're, you know, someone that is a creator that's starting a brand or someone that is partnering with a creator, right, to build a brand together, that's becoming really common. So tell me about that balance and what you found that works and maybe what hasn't worked.
I feel like this is something that I'm learning how to really handle ongoing. Actually, it's taken Dennis stepping in and being like, you're not doing this yourself anymore. We're hiring someone. Like, it's not even a discussion. One, I think outsourcing is incredibly important. And I'm well aware that, like, if you're just starting out, expect to not necessarily have a whole team because you're just starting out. You're still figuring out if you actually like this job. But this has been my job of 15 years, and there's still things that I'm like, no, I just want to do it because I just enjoy doing it. But realistically, I can't. I can't do everything. I can't be everywhere. So I think learning how to like trust other people to come into this ecosystem and allowing them to offer their own value and expertise is like a really great way to not only like hire new talent, talent scout in itself, like finding other people to work with and empower other creators in this industry, relieve some of this load and the stress off of myself because it's really tempting to just be like, okay, I can just edit this real quick or let me just grab this. And girl, you cannot manage your expectations, outsource, be comfortable with realizing that if you hire somebody, they may not get it right for the first 2, 3 times. You have to work with them. You have to train them. You got to teach them, things take time, but you definitely can't do everything yourself. And it's tempting, but I can't. And I'm learning what that balance looks like for me, even still.
Just to add there, as a creator, and Jackie has been like predominantly, she's creating content. From a team perspective, it's really understanding that, you know what, she's still got a whole nother job doing her personal stuff. So we need to respect that. So like the team now knows that there's certain times where, okay, this is Jackie's personal time to do her thing. So perhaps this is not a good time to reach out to her. And obviously then we schedule meetings specifically where we can talk about whether it's marketing campaigns or product development. So we've come up with a schedule that really works for the team and everyone respects it. And organically, I think what works really well for us is that Jackie's content naturally is home lifestyle, and we are a lifestyle brand technically. So it fits in really organically. So stuff she's already doing, it's easy to implement the candles, it's easy to implement the fine fragrance. So that's worked really, really effectively. And just on another note, just separately outside of what we do, I think one of the challenges for creators is that they are technically creators, and it's like if they want to now move into the world of business, is really aligning themselves with the right people. Obviously, in our scenario, it's great that obviously me and Jackie work. So I've got a business background and I've run businesses in the past, so it helped. Our creators may not have that opportunity or have that access. So those are the challenges. Who do they go to? Who could they speak to? And I think that's a very interesting conversation that I could speak about for days, but I just wanted to emphasize the difference.
The outsourcing is a big thing, right? Because what you're finding is a lot of these creators, like you guys, the businesses are getting so big. It's a business. You need a team that's supporting you. But at the same time, like I've had, we have some really talented researchers and analysts, and I'll say, hey, can you look at this category and help me like come up with some material? And they'll like, fully write something and like a research post that I'll do. And you just find that like, it just doesn't feel quite right. And then it just doesn't. And then especially when it doesn't perform as well, you're like, if I had done it, like I know it would have done better. That's like a really hard thing to let go of. I feel like it's really tough.
But I feel like you find the balance in like trusting your own instinct and being like, actually, let's do it this way versus kind of letting them lead. So it just depends.
I'm curious, obviously the business has done really well, but I've started a business before. We've had like 3 or 4 near-death experiences. I'm curious for you guys, what are your, semi near-death experiences? Like, have you guys had any times where you're like, oh my God, I don't think we're going to make it, or I don't know what to do, everything's burning down?
No, 100% we have. And I think it's important as brand founders that we share these stories because sometimes behind the scenes, everyone thinks everything's running smoothly, everything's successful. And one of the things, the biggest myths I've learned in life is that your company can make millions of dollars, but is it making a profit? Are you keeping the lights on? And it's something that I've learned very quickly. It don't mean nothing because you can do a press article. Oh yeah, this company's making X amount and it sounds good, but ask them the most important question. How much money do you have in your account? What is your actual net profit? That's the most important questions. But in terms of our biggest nerd, I would say like, wow, okay, this is a really tough time was in around 2022 and 2023, where basically we took a risk and did an investment where we got a warehouse, 35,000 square foot warehouse, so we could operate the business there. And that didn't really go as smoothly. But more importantly, to Jackie's point earlier, when we first started, the business took off really quickly. We ordered roughly like 20,000 units. It sold like in the space of a few hours. Our partner at the time told us, oh yeah, well, if you can sell 20,000 candles in a few hours in August, Well, November and December are the biggest moments for fine fragrance and home fragrance and brands. So you should do way more. So we ordered like over 100,000 units. And at the time, I wasn't really understanding the importance of hot stamping when you do that. You're now left with the product. And if you don't sell it, you're done. And with candles, it's very seasonal. And then also we've ordered so many fragrance oils. So we've ordered fragrance oils and they have expiry dates. See, this is the part of business. Sometimes you get into things, you don't ask the right question. And then you're now sitting there with inventory that you can't actually sell because it's seasonal. You can no longer sell it because if it's a Christmas product and you're now in March, no one really wants Christmas holiday themed products. So now you're stuck with it. And then obviously the fragrance oil is expired. You can't use it the following year. So all these little details. So, and we didn't also have data. We were just kind of going all in, like, but there's no real data to support how many should we order. So our business got into a situation where we had lots of excess inventory and we had to dispose of a lot. So that was the biggest lesson, but we was able to come out of that storm and we put things in place going forward. Like, for example, we don't make all products straight away. We may get the key components. So for example, if the component coming from China, like the glasses, we may just order the glasses, but we won't actually do the hot stamping for all products straight away. We'd only do like 20% of the units versus trying to do it all straight away.
Yeah, I've been lucky in that my products are like software. There's no expiration date. There's no inventory. There's no like, I'm pretty lucky on that side. Jackie, I'm curious for you, kind of similar question, but more in your own kind of content creation career. One, very few people get to the stage that you've gotten to in terms of the size of your audience and the engagement of that audience, right? The community that you've built. So I'm curious, for those that aspire to follow that path, like what would be your advice to them, right? What have you learned? And then were there any times where you were like, I'm done with it. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it. Or have you remained passionate throughout the process?
I'm still very passionate about content creation overall, even though the space has changed a lot in both good ways and sometimes kind of crazy, strange, like, I don't know about this girl ways. But the overall community building aspect will always be the number one thriving part of why I do this. Like, it's just a world where you're just creating the content, but like not actively talking to people, not actively engaging with people. For me, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be worthwhile. Like, that's when I show up. That's what I'm here for. And as long as that component is always there for me, I'm always going to have a job. Like, I'm always going to enjoy this, even when the changes and the shifts in the community, or I should say in the industry, do continue to change. I can change with it, but I can change in ways that continue to focus on like what my why is. So if someone were to ask me, like, or to your original question, like what advice would I give? I know people are sick of hearing remain authentic, but I actually want to kind of like shift that response. It's not so much about being authentic. What I think people need to be more mindful of is that you may not be an overnight success. You may be a 5-year success. You may be grinding for 10. Personally, for me, like my big break was my 6th year in. But what was so incredible is that when people did find out about me, when my videos did start blowing up at year 6, they didn't have just like one viral video to consume. They were like, wait, she's amazing. But like look at this backlog. Look at the backlog of all this other content. So like I almost kind of like telling people like stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because please believe if and when you do get that big break, people are going to be like, wow, she's been building. The proof will be there. Like, you can't erase that. You can't erase the history that you put on. The things that you upload, they live on there forever. And that also means be careful what you post. Post responsibly. Don't take opportunities that are going to make people question, why is she doing this? Like, why would she lie about this product? Or why is she bad mouthing this creator? Like, digital footprints are very real, and there are things that can and will come back to haunt you. So I would say just be mindful of that and be careful. Even though you think no one's watching, one day everybody could be watching. So be very, very considerate and mindful of what you post, because it could come back to be your biggest break, or it could be your worst nightmare. You never know.
You know what I've always I've never quite understood. So we were meeting up with this brand and it was the CEO of this brand. We posted something on Instagram and she just ripped us in a comment. And I was like, this was like a decade ago. And I'm like, this woman's like the CEO of this company. What is happening? She's like, why are you guys, we were baking bread. It was like a team building activity. And it's like, why are you guys baking bread? Like, fix the software, such and such is broken. And then we went on and looked at her profile, and that was all she did, right? It was like, she's ripping this company, ripping Subway, ripping, what is going on? And I think you've talked about this a lot, but it's like, the comments are something you're posting too, right? Like these people are attaching themselves to like all this negativity, and it's like they have a digital footprint as well. And like, I'm curious for you, how have you dealt with being kind of this public face? And Dennis, you as well, right? You've got to read these comments that are about your fiance or your girlfriend or your wife. And like, how do you handle that, negativity that comes in? Because it comes in for everybody once you get to a certain size. It's just the way the game works. What's it like to manage that? I don't know many people that have to deal with that.
Yeah, it's hard because you're a creator and you're a founder. So finding that balance of being like, now listen here, you don't keep it cute with this comment, okay? Not too much now. But then you're also a brand founder, so you want to be professional and you don't want to turn people off from the brand. To be honest, I feel like this industry is kind of like at a crossroad where we're moving away from this like customer's always right. I get to say whatever I want to you with zero consequences. Like the customer isn't always right, and that's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna rip into them. But however, I would personally much rather focus on comments that are like actually constructive, actual customers, actual supporters, because typically if you read between the lines and if you're kind of able to separate like your personal emotions from what you do. When you read a comment, like this is clearly a customer, not somebody who's just in the comment section talking crap. You're able to kind of be like a bit more objective and so like not take it personally. So those are the things that I lean on in order for me to like read something and not just lash out or like
Yeah.
not just rip it at someone because you would be doing that all day. I ignore so much. I take on a lot. I have a lot of followers. So if I were to take every single comment personally, I wouldn't be able to work. I'd be ripping into people all day. But then how do you separate that from like a genuine customer who like maybe didn't have the best experience with the product? You want to honor and listen to that feedback because it's valuable feedback. You know what I mean? Like people are spending their hard-earned money on your products. They're not always going to be haters. They're not always going to be just people who are just being negative. And I don't really care what this person thinks versus like, hey, like let's actually look into this. This may be a real concern. And I feel like Dennis is also really good at that too.
Good points. And I think one of the biggest challenge that as a business that we have is that technically Jackie is a public figure in a sense, whereas it's not a brand where it doesn't have a face. So you're going to have more views rather than them emailing customer service. They're going to be messaging Jackie. They're going to be saying things to her. So it puts her in a very awkward position. She's like, guys, we have a team for that. And that's a really tough thing for brands that are in that type of structure where they have a founder that is public facing. So that's one thing. Number two, I think the expectation, they expect everything to be perfect. And you have to remember, we are not a Louis Vuitton. We are not a Estee Lauder. It's going to take time. And I think they sometimes expect you to be great and you can't make mistakes. You can't grow. The grace, that's the one bit I would wish that there was more of, especially when you're a startup and you're starting a brand for your first time, that you can get grace. But I get it. As a customer, you want things now. You want it to be perfect. I get it, especially when you're putting your hard money. But in terms of insight, I wish I can use this opportunity to tell customers, look, we're always going to strive to deliver the best, but sometimes it's hard. Like you don't have the resources, you don't have the funding to do things at the level that you want to. And the goal is to get there. Also, another thing that I noticed is in terms of like negativity, I feel like just in general, this is outside of a business, but I feel like we live in a community where people build you up only to kick you when you get there. It's like they feel like there's only space for one. It's like you've had your moment now. Who's next? Let's build someone up and then do the same. And I've seen this cycle happen, not just in the beauty space, but in other spaces. And it's a really sad thing to see because I always strongly believe that there's space for more than one people. It's for multiple people to all win and strive and win. So that's something I encourage as a community. Like we need to do better. Like for me, I meet with other founders. I'm very open, share details. I'll tell you how you should negotiate, what type of deal you should get, because I want you to get the best deal. I'm not one of them people that are trying to keep information to myself. I want to see more brand owners win. So it is sad when I see that. But ultimately, to answer your question around how do we deal with it, my job is to, especially when I can see she's seen a negative comment that's maybe making her feel, is to console her and be there for her and to remind her, take a moment, take a pause, have some social media break, let's go and do something different, just to get your mind away from things. So that's where I come in. And it's normal. She's human. And I think sometimes people forget that she's also is human and she bleeds just the way we all bleed. And sometimes they put people in a different pedestal, but she's just a normal person. So I do my best whenever it gets tough, because it is not easy, like, especially when you get dozens of messages about something when it's totally not true and people make up stories and, people can put a narrative out there which is totally incorrect. So it's tough, but, we've learned to just deal with it and keep moving forward.
Yeah, and it's tough because I think at the same time, you mentioned it, Jackie, like engaging with your community, right? You recognizing them or responding to them or interacting to them, and they can tell that it's you, is also such a powerful moment, right? Like it goes in both directions. I didn't really understand what the word community meant until maybe about 2, 3 years ago when I started to see it formed around our own company. I was like, oh, this is a community. It gets built over a very long period of time, very much direct relationships, lots of trust exchanged, etc. I'm curious, how did you take that same, approach that you took to building your own channel to building it with the brand? And I think specifically, within obviously the people that listen to this are heavy into the marketing and influencer side of things. Like, how have you guys thought about like your partnerships with other creators, working with other creators? What have you found that works and ways that integrate, you guys into that messaging? Talk to me about that a little bit.
So a lot of what I've come to realize about marketing and branding are just things that are really just aligned with my personality. I didn't go to school for none of this. So, you start this company, you start seeing what works, and you're like, okay, I'm understanding the through line. And when I first started my YouTube channel, that was the first ever social media platform that I ever joined. And in 2009, there was not a lot of beauty creators specifically that looked like me. And they were on the platform. They were just incredibly difficult to find. You had to be like really SEO and search savvy. And nobody in 2009 was SEO and search savvy unless you were like a MySpace girly and you knew like HTML coding, you were like a little coding baddie. But most people, they did not know. They did not know how to like find the girls who look like me. And like at that time, the whole reason why I even started my YouTube channel, one is because my best friend told me to do it. And I had no interest in being in front of the camera at all. But she was like, well, all of the looks that you do, you should show other people how to do them. And what I didn't realize at the time is that one of my biggest whys in beauty specifically is I got really tired of like walking into a makeup counter, people looking at me like I was crazy, first of all. Two, them not having products for me, and also walking away looking crazy because they didn't know how to apply products on my complexion. And I also came to realize, well, if I'm experiencing that, surely other people are. This is a really intimidating part of, I think, like the coming of age beauty experience is like kind of being scared. Like you're scared of like what you're gonna look like when you walk away. You're scared of talking to people. You're scared of like not having knowledge. You're scared of not knowing how to do stuff. That was when like the makeup industry was largely really gay kept. So what I did is I broke that wall down and I was like, look, girl, like focus on what you can. Like you don't have to know everything. Let's simplify. Let's make it fun. Let's make it easy. Let's make it funny. And so I made beauty accessible to people, not only physically, but like verbally through language, through like making products more personable. Like instead of being like, this is the Forever Mood, I am her perfume, I'd be like, girl, pick her up and just put her on. Like the products are fun, like they have personality. And so the reason why Forever Mood exists is the same way that like the community that I cultivated on YouTube and on my other platforms existed, is that we wanted to bridge the gap between like perfume newbies, people who know nothing about perfume, and people who are like more niches and a little bit more expert level. Fragrance can be really intimidating. It's still an industry that's also largely gay capped. It really is. And I wanted to break down that wall. Like I want the average consumer that goes up to a makeup counter, instead of you walking through a mall and having 50 people spraying cards and being like, try this, having no idea what you're smelling, you're confused, you're being swept into a hard sell. I want customers to go up to perfume counters now and be like, can you show me your gourmand? Can you show me your woody scent? What's on trend right now for winter? Like, I kind of wanted to give people like the language and at least some of the knowledge to like know how to find their personal scent, because scent is so personal for me. And much like the way that I've been able to do with beauty and makeup, we're doing the exact same way with FORVR Mood and fragrance, and giving the power back to the consumer so that they kind of know how to build their own fragrance wardrobe instead of, okay, so like, what do I do next, Jackie? What do I do next? Like, I don't want me to. No, it's true. Like some influencers and some creators, I'm not bad mouthing them, but some people thrive on being the authority, right? Like getting to tell people what to do. Yeah, it makes you feel good, but at the same time, I also want people to be armed with the knowledge to be able to do that for themselves so that they don't always have to like hang on my every word, and that they can become the expert themselves in a way.
Dennis, I'm curious for you, obviously you guys talked about this fragrance brand for a long time, but that wasn't necessarily your background before, right? Like it's kind of a natural next step for Jackie. What made you really want to dive into this space and work with Jackie on this versus, you got a bunch of other stuff you could be doing, right? Like, what was it that got you excited about this specifically?
No, I believed in her. Like, I believed in her vision. I really felt that we could do it differently, come out of the gate and really make an impact. And we're seeing that with our community. And it's, I think, even more so, because even me, I didn't come from a fragrance space. I never even used to wear fragrance. Jackie got me into fragrance in terms of like, I had no clue. I used to just go with my own scent. I had my own scent, my body. And and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, by the way.
That was not gonna work for me. I was like, nope, you need to do what you need something. I was like, there's just never a world where you're gonna be with me and not smell like something. Absolutely not.
For me, the reason that I was fully in and excited is because of the mission. And ultimately, it's to make people feel good. Like, if you smell good, you feel good. Our tagline, which is self-care isn't selfish, means a lot to us. Like, we really want people to start practicing self-care. We actually strongly believe that if you're not 100%, you can't pour into others and add real value. So it's not coming from a place of selfishness, coming from a place that you need to be in the right state of mind, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you'll be able to add value and really make a difference in the world. And one of the messages, this is a story that I share, one of our friends that we know, she had a surgery, I won't share her name, but she sent us the most sweetest message, me talking about how she was wearing I Am Her, which is one of our hero products, and how it gave her a lot of confidence, made her feel good when she was going through her challenges. And that's what it means. It's not about selling products. It's really about how people feel and makes a difference and an impact in their life. And for me, that makes me want to work hard and keep on doing what we're doing. So I love what we do. And we've got some dope plans in 2025 regarding like really doing some more community stuff and getting them involved and actually contributing and supporting our community with things that they're going through. That's going to make them practice more self-care.
We're coming to the end. So I want to do one kind of fun end of show question. So if we're going to build Dennis into the next Jackie, so Dennis, you're going to have a channel and we're going to make you a lifestyle influencer. What does Dennis, the lifestyle influencer, look like? What do we need to do? You're going to have 5 million fans. You're going to have your own scent scented after you. What's the plan? How do we do it?
I think the fact that I've got my voice, I think that helps me, that there's something unique there. So I'm ready to definitely, tap into the American market. But no, I think because I come from a place of, I don't really understand fragrance, how I'll tell the story, doing different personalities, different characters. What is this person? What's this character? And maybe doing videos. I'll probably do a series of what this fragrance is as a personality. I think that's just randomly just made up right now. I might try it.
What's your plan, Jackie?
You need to make food content. I know you're never going to do it, babe, but I think it'd be really cute because I like the way you accessorize.
We can start your own soup brand.
You know what? Funny enough, I used to, back in the days, everyone was, I was known for the guy that used to have the matching socks, pocket squares, and all that stuff. So who knows in the future? It's just prioritizing and not getting ahead of myself, because I do have I've got a book of ideas, and it's like, you can't do it all, but who knows in the future? We might revisit it.
I love it. Well, I'll need some tips. I am not a suit influencer, as you can tell by the ugly Hawaiian shirt, which we've, there's a whole history to that. Like, we can get into another time. But I really want to thank you guys and congratulate you guys on all the success. Can't wait to see what you guys do with the brand. Can't wait to watch you guys expand. I have a feeling that you're not going to stop at personal fragrance. I think you're probably going to get into other stuff too, which is fun. I appreciate you taking that time for us.
No, thank you, Conor. And just want to thank you for having a great platform and allowing people to share their stories. And kudos to you being able to do this consistently for a number of years. Not easy. And you've got a great journey, story and journey that you've been through. So we can learn so much from you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Be a friend, tell a friend, and subscribe. Earned by Creator IQ. Creator IQ is your all-in-one solution to grow, manage, scale, and measure your influencer marketing program. Ready to unlock the power of the creator economy? Get started with a demo today at creatoriq.com.